Hey, you guys, welcome back to the verse of the week. Today we're going to be in Proverbs 27 and 17, which says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So it's kind of a well-known verse. We know it. We have the concept of it, I think, and it's the idea of, coming alongside of one another and just building each other up. I want to just take it, and maybe this is more of a reminder for us today, but the whole idea behind that is that doesn't hit for one person. That doesn't fall under one job description. So it's not just, for example, a pastor's job to build your faith up. It's not just a worship leader's job, or it's not just a youth person's job or children director or whatever. It's not just somebody who's in leadership. It's not just their job to build other people's faiths up. In fact, we're all called to build each other's faith up. We're called to come alongside of each other. We're a people that tend to look for purpose, and we're wondering what it is that God has in store for us. What is it that God wants us to do, or who is it that God wants us to be? And He gave us. It's funny. We tend to want to overcomplicate things, and by doing so, then we muddy the water up. And by muddying the water up, then we start to muddy the clarity, the purpose of the whole thing. I was trying to think, like, even back in the Old Testament, when God created the law, right? When God gave them the law, rather, He gave it to them. It was perfect, but it was rooted in love. It was basically, and Moses told the people, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength. And Jesus took it the next step, and He said, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's what the whole of the law, Torah, is all about. And when we grab a hold of that, then we have come to a point where we're not overcomplicating things. But what they did was, even in Old Testament times, they put so much burden on people by creating laws and rules and all these things to help them to keep Torah, to keep the law. And basically, it became not about love, but it became about legalism. It became about something other than what God intended. And I think that we do that with Christianity even today. We have our religion, we have our rules, and our songs that we sing, just all these different liturgy and then programs and you name it. We do all these things, and we tend to try to find our purpose in those things, but we muddy the water when God is going, look, I just want you to surrender to me on the daily. I want you to surrender to me. And the whole idea is that if you love me, then you'll love other people. And so we have this responsibility then to work on our own relationship with Jesus. And then by doing so, when Jesus is fully Lord of our life, when we have, surrendered that to Him, then He brings people in our path that He wants us to help build them up. But then even in doing so, it says iron sharpens iron. He didn't say another metal sharpens iron or anything else sharpens iron. He says iron sharpens iron, which means it's not one-sided, right? It's not just one person sharpening another. It's you're sharpening that person, but then also in the process, you're sharpening yourself. The more that you help others, the more that you yourself grow, the more that you yourself learn. So iron is sharpening iron. And the whole point is we do need each other. We were created for each other, and we're called to love one another. And that's the whole of all of this, is learning how to become more Christ-like and learning how to build each other up in that same faith, in that same concept. And when we do that, we have fulfilled everything that God has set up. And that's it. It sounds so simple because it is so simple. And when we learn to love, that in itself should be a journey, and it is a journey for a lot of us. But when we focus on that, and when we focus on learning to love the Lord the way that He's called us to, learning to submit and surrender, and then learning to love ourselves. And then Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. So learning those things, I think that's all important, and that's what this is all about. Instead of trying to add to it all of this other, I shouldn't say that, but adding to this all this other stuff that is unnecessary. We press forward, and we learn to love each other. We learn to love one another, and build each other up in faith, true faith, scriptural faith, good news faith, the gospel, the love of Jesus, the love of the Lord, and to know that that's what we're called to be. That's who we're called to be. That is our purpose here. And yeah, so my mind is going in that direction for Sunday too. I think I'm going to be in, that's my last lesson in Lessons from the Vine, and I think anyway, but I'm going to call it Old Vine. And there's some of that same concept of iron sharpens iron, and what that looks like for us. There's some valuable lessons that we can learn from the vine in that, and so I want to talk about that. I hope that you'll tune in. It's 9:30. If you can't make it, and if we can't see your beautiful face, then I hope that hope that you be online and join in, dive into the Word with us, and worship the Lord with us. So I love you. I hope that you've had an amazing week. Today, it's warmer. I can feel it in my body. Kind of having one of those, like it's a sinusy thing going on. So I've got a little bit of a headache and not feeling the greatest today. Feel a little bit off, but I wanted to get the verse of the week out and talk to you about that, and then give you a little insight into Sunday. So I love you. I hope you've had an amazing week. I hope your weekend is blessed, and I hope to see you Sunday, or if not, I hope to see you soon. Talk to you then.